Don't make the first mistake. Right, we're at 6:30, so I'll start the meeting. Good evening. Have you started the recording, Matthew? Yeah. Thank you to everyone for attending this meeting for the Chorley Liaison on Wednesday the 19th of July. My name is Councillor Gordon France and I'm the chair of this committee. Councillor Kim Snape is my vice chair. Please note this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube. Members in the chamber, when you want to speak, please raise your hands to indicate to me that you wish to speak. When I invite you to speak, please turn your microphones on, as I forgot to. Please can everyone ensure their phones are turned to silent. We are not expecting a fire drill, so if the alarms sound, please exit the way you came in. Now, I think before I carry on, I think we ought to have a minute's silence for Councillor Keith Hidden. He did attend this meeting on a couple of occasions, and I think he would only be respectful. Thank you very much. Please be seated. For those that didn't know, Keith sadly passed away in June suddenly. Right. Apologies, Matthew.
We have apologies from Councillor Alan Whitaker.
Yeah. I'd also like to take at this point welcome Councillor Swarbrick, Rupert Swarbrick, who's the Cabinet Member for Highways, who will be taking some questions at point 3 on the agenda. Point 2, minutes of the meeting on the 22nd of March. I hope everybody's had a chance to have a look at them, and are there any issues to raise on the accuracy of the minutes? The recommendation is the minutes of the meeting be approved. Thank you. Point 3. And this is where County Councillor Rupert Swarbrick comes in. As LCC Cabinet Member, Highways and Transport, he's going to provide a strategic update on his portfolio, followed by a short open forum. I remind members that questions should be based on strategic themes and not sort of just ward issues, although ward issues could be gladly forwarded on. Over to you, Rupert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So a strategic update on my portfolio. Gosh, where do we start? I guess if I just do a very brief description about what my role covers, and I'll start with today. I've had 3 meetings about railways. That's actually a relatively unusual day, but Lancashire is involved. Whilst we don't run the railways, we are consultees for the rail operating companies. We're members of Transport for the North. We get to influence railway policy insofar as we can. That's principally a Department for Transport function. Of course, the big hot topic at the moment is station closures. This council, I know, debated that last night, and Lancashire County Council will be putting in a representation to the consultation in its own right, and also as members of the Transport for the North. We are concerned about the proposals as set out at the moment. it's all very well saying that you're not going to have somebody on a platform at a particular time, but there are too many times when there isn't going to be anybody, and also where those people are in the current proposals isn't acceptable. We're consulting across our own council, and we're taking feedback from other authorities, and we will be getting in our responses in good time. Transport for the North has an extension to the consultation period and carries a lot of weight. We are also involved with strategic planning of roads. So recently we will be contributing to the Transport for the North strategic road review, which looks about what roads ought to be improved, what may be downgraded. There are some proposals in some areas to reduce the capacity of roads in order to enable other areas to get greater development. We have to upgrade roads in order to absorb development. There's a perfectly good example that opened recently, the Preston West Distributor Road, just onto the west of Preston, which links the motorway with the road to Blackpool, and effectively on the town side of that now, a significant amount of strategic land has been unlocked for development. I jokingly tell my friends that I'm in charge of potholes in Lancashire. That unfortunately falls under my remit. We do maintenance of potholes. We'd like to think that we can do maintenance of the roads before potholes arise, but that isn't always going to be the case. But we do have a comprehensive system of a biannual survey driven round by a car that looks a bit like a Google car, but it's got extra devices on it that surveys the road. So there's a very technical process for assessing the condition of our roads. That happens twice a year. That feeds into a programme which then assesses what roads need attention. And then we have various different programmes that we can use in order to give those roads that attention. And no doubt you'll have some questions about that, so I'll leave that door kind of open. We also have a team, we have our own in-house team of engineers and staff, so we deliver projects. So if you've been into Preston on the Ringway recently, you'll have noticed there's been some disruption at the junction with Frygate and Ringway. Our guys are delivering on that project, so we can build stuff as well. We are also involved with active travel, so there's a whole agenda around getting people walking and cycling, and we are the conduit generally for government money for that feeds into specific projects. And I guess the other hot topic, which I'm very happy to have a conversation about in this room, is the other people digging our roads up in order to do stuff to their utilities. The utility companies spend a great deal of time digging our roads up. If they are emergency activities, we find out about them at the same time that you do. The utility companies are empowered to come and attend to an emergency, and they serve a notice on this retrospectively. That's a big challenge for us to manage, particularly where there might be other works already ongoing, or it may be around a school or somewhere where there's a significant amount of activity. Unfortunately, our utility infrastructure was installed or laid at around about the same time, 100 and odd years ago, and it's all collapsing at around about the same time. So the maintenance issues are all manifesting themselves at the same sort of time. We do have meetings with the utility companies on a quarterly basis to plan works where we can, and those forums are successful. As I say, the big challenge is the ones where there's a burst main or a leaky gas pipe, and they come and do the work, and then they tell us they're doing it, and we are powerless to do that. And in a way, that's a very good thing, because the last thing we'd want to be doing is stopping somebody fixing a gas leak. I will pause there, because there may be something I've missed out. Kim, I don't know whether I've missed anything out of particular interest.
No, I think it'll probably all. I think it'll probably all come out in questions and stuff that people might have. I think.
Very happy to take questions.
Councillor Lynch.
Thank you, Chair. I hope you will give me a little bit of leeway this evening. I don't normally attend these meetings. However, having heard that Councillor Swarbrick was attending tonight, I have made every effort to get here so that I can make him aware of the dissatisfaction between councillors currently felt in Chorley. Councillor Swarbrick will be aware that he has received a previous email off me asking for site visits in Chorley to give that personal touch to issues ongoing. These issues which have been ignored for far too long. Loose cobbles on Market Street, absolutely ignored, promised to be fixed within months, haven't done so. You get an email response only from council officers. They will not meet with us in the town centre. I am a regular member of the town centre team. We get quite a lot of highways reports in that meeting, and we have been told that officers are no longer attending that. This seems like there has been either a strategic withdrawal from the political side, or that officers have taken it upon themselves somehow to withdraw. My latest one was re-highlighting, after an accident, the issue that one of the prominent high schools that we have in the area still has a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit along the majority of its border. Having explained to officers that previous attempts to restrict this to 20 mile an hour, as per every other school in the borough, was refused on the basis that the main entrance was actually on a little side street. It seems to me that that personal touch of actually standing there and realising that every single child that attends that school has to access that school from Southport Road, which starts at a 40-mile-an-hour at the beginning of the school grounds. This seems to me unacceptable. I don't understand how somebody can reach the decisions that they are reaching. There is a lot of frustration at the town centre meetings between ward councillors. That particular issue, Chair, at Parklands is supported by the head teacher. It's supported by the MP. It's supported by the county councillor. It's supported by every borough councillor. It's supported by residents who live right next to the school. These are everybody that the cabinet member and officers should be listening to, and they are all being ignored. I would request that Councillor Swarbrick does look into this personally and other issues that are outstanding within the town centre, which are long past their promise dates, and that we look to actually resolve these issues and be more proactive. I will finish my comments, Chair, on saying that when the sadly missed County Councillor Keith Hidden rang me up about an issue when he was in the fortunate position of cabinet member, we had an issue with a road in Exton, Culbeck Lane. He rang me up, Matt, you need to help me. Somebody is going to scupper the whole resurfacing of this street because they want a footpath. So I helped him. This wasn't a political decision. Councillor Hidden wanted to do the right thing for the residents. I fully support that. And all we are asking is that Councillor Swarbrick does the right thing for the residents in this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. You'd like to come back on that very quick?
Could I come on that?
Oh, okay, Councillor G.
It's the same thing answering. Yeah, sorry. Could I come because it's on the same issue as before? Welcome. My name's Danny G. I'm a councillor for Exton. I'm also lead member for Chorley Town Centre and Market, and I chair the Town Centre Forum that Matt alluded to. Before COVID, we used to always have an officer from Highways to come down here, and it worked very, very well. He was welcome. We gave him the issues. He wrote it down, took it away, come back to the next meeting with what they'd done, what they couldn't do, reasons, but they were there. Then we had COVID, so yes, things changed. We went on Teams, Zoom, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't as good, I've got to admit, it wasn't as good, but at least we had a face that we could see on the back of the screen. But of the last, well, I would say 4 meetings that we've had no one, and they've said that they will not be attending any meetings, either in person or online. Now, what they wanted to do is to voice our concern, so someone from Democratic Services has to write it down. So you can imagine a lot of concerns, so they have to write it down. They then have to send an email to Highways. So you got someone writing it down, send the email. Things can get lost in translation. So the guy at the other end, or the lady, gets the email. You don't get the same impact by reading an email. If I have a problem, or any councillors here have a problem, and someone from County Highways is there, he or she can see and listen to it and get the gist better than reading an email. I read an email, I can decipher it one way, you can decipher it another way, and it gets lost. Then the email, hopefully, it doesn't often, comes back. So then we have to read it again. We don't agree with it. So then we send the email back. So I'm afraid emails are good. I'm not disputing that, but this is one place that they're not good. We either want, no, I would say we would like someone to come from Highways to the meetings. All right, they sometimes can't attend them. We appreciate that, but they do. Someone come, or they come online, and we can see them, we can talk to them, and we're not demons in this council. We are human, and we treat people with respect, hopefully. So I'm just thinking if you could take it back and say, we have sent letters on my behalf and on behalf of the council that we're dissatisfied with what Highways are doing in Chorley, the non-appearance. So I really would appreciate if something could be done for someone to attend the meetings. The police, very, very busy. They attend every meeting. They can come here, and as soon as the meeting's finished, we always put them at the front. As soon as they finish, they can go. Same with the Highways. We would always put them at the after the police, and as soon as it's finished, they can go. They don't have to stop for the full meeting. So I'd appreciate it if you could take it away, look at it, and come back with a plan of how someone from Highways could come to the meeting or attend it online. Thank you.
Chairman, happy to respond. Thank you. All noted, very compelling points, and I absolutely get it. And the personal touch is really important, and I'm here. I would have been here at the other ones, but diary clashes and actually me just missing the diary for the last one, mea culpa. Sort of starting back to front, we've strengthened our local teams, and we've got an officer in the local depots who have a local focus. And I will ensure that officer or somebody representing them, I think it's a him in this part of the world, will be at the town centre meetings. That absolutely makes sense. I get the to and froing and the frustration about nuances in emails and he said, she said, and all that stuff. I totally understand that. The issue about site visits for members, I will address, and I totally understand about why you might want me to come and stand and look at a particular problem. And until I had this job, I thought it was important that members were out there, and it still is important that members understand it, and that's why there are 84 local members. But much of what Highways does is technical and regulated, and I'm not technical and I'm not a regulator. I'm the cabinet member that ensures that the highways teams deliver the technical stuff within policy. So if I stand on a street corner and say this is a nonsense and we should do something about it, and then I go away and find out that what I've just promised I can't deliver within a regulation, I'm the one that looks stupid. I totally get that frustration. I will review the issues, particularly the stuff around parking around schools. That is really, really challenging. I get that. But what I'm not going to do is promise to come to lots of site visits, because actually officers are better suited to do that because they know what they're talking about, frankly, about the regulation. So I do hear what you say. I find it very frustrating myself. In my own division, stuff doesn't happen because computer says no, or regulation says no, or we can't do it, or we don't have the powers. But that's how it is at the moment. But I'll certainly get somebody to the town centre meetings.
Councillor Lynch.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Appreciate the fact that somebody will be attending the town centre meetings. I'd just like to go back to the technical aspects. I appreciate there's technical aspects. I appreciate there's regulation. However, I was under the impression that those technical aspects and regulations stated that 20 mile an hour speed limit should be enforced during the certain hours of a school day. What we have here, through you, Chair, is the fact that the front door address is on a semicircular road that leads to the same road. All the children actually go through to reception, which is the entrance on the main road. It seems to me that by reducing the speed limit permanently to 30 miles an hour, it then makes the whole of that section 30 miles an hour from Tesco roundabout to outside this building. That whole stretch would be 30 mile an hour, not 30 to 40, back to 30. It should be all 30. And I have to say, through you, Chair, that between school opening times and closing times, it should surely have signage saying 20 miles an hour. We have a car park on the left from Woodlands. We have children crossing the road to get to Parkland site. We have cars parked double abreast all the way down. We've got vehicles trying to come out of the estate at the bottom, Ackhurst. We've got a speed camera. We've got vehicles trying to slow down, vehicles trying to come in, vehicles trying to pull away. Yes, I understand. It's the same old, it's half an hour in the morning, it's half an hour at night, but it isn't. This has been going on for far too long. You look at Albany High School, exact same scenario. Their front door points onto that road. They have a 20 mile an hour zone. It is a 30 mile an hour zone outside that school at any other time. It then goes on to a 40 mile an hour zone past the school. Perfectly acceptable. But we're actually asking drivers to speed up outside the grounds of a high school. And I just think that the technical aspect of that is quite clear. So again, I would urge you to go back to officers and say, look, this is purely a postcode lottery. What 3 words for that front door doesn't take into account everything that's going on right outside those gates. And that's why the headmaster, the MP, the county councillor, the 3 ward councillors, residents are all saying the same. Parents, children. So I don't understand how we've got to such a stalemate over where the front door is situated, because that's ultimately what we're talking about.
Rupert, do you want to come back on?
Chairman,
I mean, that is a...
Chairman, I'll review that case. Absolutely, I don't have any chance. I'm not going to say I'm not going to, am I, in this forum, but I will review that case. It's very compellingly well made. So we'll have another look, and I totally get the point. And if we'll meet with the division councillor or at least have a telephone conversation about it, and we'll get that. So I'll make a direct with you afterwards or later.
Thank you, Rupert. You're right with that, Councillor Lynch, yeah. And Councillor Holgate?
Stephen.
Right, yeah. Steve? You're on mute, Steve. Steve, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Got you now.
Right, thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Rupert, for coming along. It's a bit of a lion's den you've jumped into, and I just want to let it be known that I am that ward councillor that also supports the comments and the actions needed, as described by Councillor Lynch. Seems to me that there are some technical issues that means that there could be a moot point about whether or not the entrance to the school is actually on Southport Road, but it doesn't matter. The point is, it's a dangerous situation, and we're all members of the council looking to find solutions, and irrespective of the technicalities, the reality is that it is very, very dangerous, and a solution needs to be found, and I'm sure you're the man to find that solution, Rupert. However, the issue to do with schools is not just with the Parklands, but also there's a similar situation at St Michael's School, which is also in my county division. And I have constant phone calls from residents living on Astley Road and Millbrook, complaining about the parking situation, the road actually being physically blocked by parents in various forms of transport parking on the zigzag lines, and there is no retribution and no holding to account for that irresponsible behaviour. Parents acting irresponsibly, giving abuse to residents who complain about the fact that they are being reckless in the way in which they park their vehicles, and it's their own children they're putting at risk. It beggars belief sometimes. I recognise that it is not purely, the solution isn't purely in the hands of the Highways Department, but between Highways, the police and the school, there really needs to be a coming together, because the issue is widespread outside every school, even some of the schools that engage and attempt to do what they can. The situation is not satisfactory, and I think it needs a working group to deal with the issue of dangerous vehicular movements outside all the different schools in Chorley, because when they were built, it wasn't designed for the type of vehicular movements that we have at the moment. The last high school to be built in Chorley was in fact St Michael's, and I was the first year intake, and I'm 68 now. So that's a long time ago, and nobody could have imagined the situation being as it is now. But that's the reality, and I think we need a working group to actually try and come up with some solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Can I just remind, I'll give people a little bit of leeway, but obviously it's going to be difficult for Councillor Swarbrick to answer particular items on ward issues. Katrina.
Thank you, Chair. You've said exactly what I was going to say. We've all got war stories. We all live near primary schools, the secondary schools, that have got 90 kids in a class, 60 kids in a class. that only took 30, 6 years ago. We can all do that, but the whole point of this gentleman, Councillor Chorley, was to discuss street themes. An opportunity for more complex and specific questions was offered. Now, I understand that the councillors perhaps didn't write in, which other councillors did, but I agree, it's not a bear pit. You want to come to Exton Parish Council to see a bear pit, but the whole point of it is you're here to give us your strategy. You're getting what the chair didn't want really to happen, that it was going to specific problems. And I bet everybody around here, every councillor can say, I've got a primary school that this is happening to. I've got a secondary school that this is happening to. So I wouldn't suggest he just looks at the 3 that he's been told about. I would suggest it looks at a damn sight more. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina, and I think Rupert's already acknowledged that, but over to you, Rupert, and then Ian.
Thanks, Chairman. Yeah, if I was at a forum in all the other 12 districts of the county, you'd be all talking to me about the challenges that we have around schools and traffic. And I totally get it. It's a big part of my mailbag, and we're constantly looking at it. So specific casework, thank you, but write to us about that. And if you say you already have, and you've had an answer that you're not happy with, I understand that. I'm here tonight, so write to me again, and we'll have a review. What I can just say to you is that we are looking at improving the capacity for us to enforce parking restrictions around schools. We had the parking enforcement resource used to be contracted out, and they kind of did what they wanted. They're now back in house, and we direct them where we want them to go, and where we know there are issues. In addition, we are about to get some sneaky cars. So I want to just put you all on notice that if you're going to transgress, you might well get caught by these facilities too. They will be able to do a significantly more amount of work in a day. We'll be able to do probably 3 schools in the morning, 3 schools in an afternoon. And actually, when we get round the school estates across the whole county, we can probably do quite a lot of business. So at that point, hopefully, people will get the message. It's always going to be a problem because there's always somebody to whom the rules don't apply.
Thank you. Ian.
Right, I'll just go back to a strategic level question then, please. I attended the annual conference last November at County Hall, the LCC conference, where you discussed the strategic framework and your policies. And one of them was to try and encourage active travel, to do more local journeys on foot or cycles and things. That is not going to happen without some sort of measures and improvements made to infrastructure which supports that. But my impression is that at the moment, highways, resources and budgets are hugely focused on road transport. So in the future, are we likely to see a different split of resourcing from highways towards some of the measures that you're going to need to encourage people to do more active travel?
Good question. The answer is the pressure on maintaining the highway is significant, and unfortunately that has to come to the top of the list. However, there are measures that are government funded, and that there are various active travel programs which we are implementing, which are specifically designed to enable us to help get people out of cars. So the answer is yes, and we keep pursuing that. Unfortunately, we do also have to prioritise keeping the roads safe, and we are fortunate, although you might think that they aren't, and that you look at some roads and you can't believe that they are deemed to be safe. They are safe, otherwise they would have had attention already, with the exception, of course, the overnight pothole. And I will just give Love Clean Streets a bit of a plug there. If you haven't got Love Clean Streets on your phone, on the app, then do download it. It is very useful. You take a picture of the pothole, where you're standing, make sure make sure it sends from where you've sent from where you've taken the photograph, because we're not going to fix the pothole you've accidentally reported in the middle of your living room when you get home when the Wi-Fi works. And believe me that we do get those reports. So I've slightly dodged your question, but the answer is there are different funding streams for all that active travel stuff, and every opportunity that we get to bid for that money, we do, and actually we're very good at getting it. I couldn't tell you what the numbers are off the top of my head, but I can get you some information for a note in a minute.
Thank you, Rupert. Councillor Beaver.
Thank you, Chair. Aaron Beaver, a ward colleague for Chorley North West Ward where we sat in. Mine's to do with road surfacing and the chip-ins that get put down. The road just behind us got done last year, and within 10 minutes, it was back to as it was, nothing there. So I reported it, and they said, right, we've been on to the people that did it, local contractors. They've agreed there was a fault with whatever they'd done, they're going to come and do it. And they've done it. Great. They put the stones down. They leave it a week. The cars, trucks and buses disperse them to the gutter, and then they come and put some tar down. Why are they not surprised that there's no stones there when they're all in the gutter? So there's something fundamental. I can understand if they put the stones down and followed it with a time machine. Now, where do the stones go? Which brings me on to my second point. They go in the gullies, which block the gullies, which leads to flooding, which is my other hobby, reporting on Love Clean Streets, which was promoted to us by Councillor Holgate, and I've got it on my app. It's great. I do think we need a lesson in it. I mean, it's one of these things to give you an app and you're expected to know everything about it. Well, there are bits about it that I'm not quite au fait, but I'm learning it. I'll come on to a question to do with that later. It's why do they put the stones down and then put the tar down when the stones have moved? And it's taken a little bit too long to clear the stones out of the gullies, because just over the road by the church is like a swimming pool when it rains, and it's not necessarily stones, it's contribution. And just on the Love Clean Streets, you mentioned about don't do it from home. When you kick it off, it says report from this location. When you say yes, and you take the photograph and you fill it, if there's other information that you might need, which I wanted one day and I was at home, if I finish it at home, will it still go to that location where I started it?
Thank you, Aaron. And Rupert,
Yeah, back to front. Off the top of my head, there is a way I think that you can lock on that location, and I get the bit about training and familiarity, and we'll work out some way of making sure that we can, because we want everybody to use it effectively.
Member support.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you've got member support here. We could do it, and then we could perhaps invite members who parishes or what have you to do some sort of thing. Your point about loose chippings and then not being secured, we're not procuring that process anymore. It doesn't work. That process doesn't work, and we do not want to procure that process any longer, because it doesn't work. And if it's happened recently, then like this summer, then we're not, well,
4 weeks ago.
Right, well, we've reviewed it and we know it doesn't work. So you've made the point well, and it's in hand to not procure it anymore, because it absolutely doesn't work, and it does fill the gullies up. And I had exactly the same process outside my house a couple of years ago.
thank you, Aaron. Thank you for the question, Aaron. Councillor Barry, Julian.
Oh, no, okay. I
You're
was just going to run you through Love Clean Streets. The answer is yes, you can. It always asks you the last question. It asks you. It does remember, and if you take a photograph, that's got those magic 3 words, so that locks in. If the staff look at the photograph, they know exactly where you are. Yeah, so training would be good.
Thank you.
We'll speak. That's not quite my point. I know what you're on about, But I'll show you after.
For the avoidance of doubt, if you think you're going to have to do something else, in the description, use a description bit. That's a belt and braces
All right,
bit.
then. My point being, it tells you at the beginning, do you want to use this location? Yes. You do the description, you pick your pothole, you pick your point, and then you say, I reported this last time and it's not been done, or I thought I'd reported it. And then when I go home and I want the reference number, when I do it from a computer in my dining room, does it go from where I am, or does it pick the initial, 3 words?
We'll get back to you.
Thank you, Aaron. I think we've done about 40 minutes with Rupert. If anybody's got another quick question, welcome. Otherwise, I think we'll bring this part of the meeting to an end. Yeah, of course.
Can I just ask, why does it take such a long time to bring in a traffic regulation order? They do them in bulk for the whole of Lancashire, which means if it's an urgent traffic regulation order, say outside a school, we've been waiting just less than 12 months.
Off the top of my head, it might be a particular thing that needs a consultation or something.
Yeah,
let's have a conversation about it, because if it's urgent, then it will happen. But if it's a process about changing effectively a bylaw in a street, then there's a very long and complicated process that we have to go through about consult. We have to draw a scheme up, then we have to consult on it, then we have to look at the responses, see what they look like, then we may have to re-amend it. It's not a just job, unfortunately, doing a TRO. But if there's a specific thing, then that's just drop me a note. Thank you.
Thank you. Just ask us questions, certainly.
Sorry, can I just check? Are you going to consider the questions that were circulated with the agenda papers before Councillor Swarbrick goes?
Certainly. Just a quick look through them. Have you got them there, Rupert, or not?
Well, I have.
I've got them on my app.
I have got them, but the point really of asking for particular bits of casework was that we didn't then do the casework in the meeting, and you've got the responses. If there's something in there that you want to dispute or take issue with, then come back to me directly, because the rest of your colleagues don't necessarily want to know about. Well, the whole point about taking the questions before was that we didn't then rehearse particular bits of casework, because otherwise, we're using up valuable time for other things. So if there's something in there that you'd like to challenge, then come back to me, please.
It's really taking forward the issues that Bretherton Parish Council has raised on a number of occasions over the last few months. So it would inevitably be focused on Bretherton issues, rather than wider strategic ones.
I'll make a note of the fact that effectively you'd like to talk to us about our response to the Bretherton issues.
I'll send you a note of the things that I was going to say.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And I think at this stage we bring that part of the meeting to an end. You're welcome to go if you want, Rupert.
Well, I am quite hungry.
Well, there we are. But thank you for your time, and thank you for your attendance. It's much appreciated.
I'm going to give my apologies. Sadly, I've got to pick Peter Wilson up and everybody else up at midnight, so I need to go home for a few hours, Kip.
Cheers, Matt. Thank you for your attendance. Oh, the quickies after you. Thank you. Moving on, with an item from the Director of Governance Monitoring Officer, and this is to do with parish councils, whether they want to register an interest on the Code of Conduct and would like to gauge interest in training. Are you taking that one? Was somebody taking that, Matthew?
Angela's up there.
Oh, Angela's up there, is she? I'll leave that with you, Angela. So is there any interest in code of conduct training from any parish councils? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, what does it entail?
Basically, what it entails, it's basically it's training to tell you how you should be dealing with members of the public in a role as a councillor. I think that's the way I understand it. I don't know what is that basically it, Angela? Yeah. So it's just making sure you understand the rules that when you are acting as a councillor, you understand the rules of where you should
Yes,
be
I'd be
dealing.
interested.
Right. And which parish councillor are you representing?
Croston.
Croston.
Yeah.
I've two here. The gentleman here, and I've got you, Alan. Couple. You registered interest, yes. Alan. Councillor Platt.
I was just going to say, Chair, I mean, reading the Director of Governance has offered to provide training. I wasn't aware of it. And I don't know if anybody else was. If there's an offer to provide training, perhaps if everybody knew there was an offer to provide training, you might get a few responses.
I think it's to gauge interest, isn't it?
I think it's just trying to gauge interest. I think it's been a question asked before. Colin, did you want to?
Yeah, I'd like to have a go at that.
And you represent, just remind me, is it Whittle? Yeah. I knew it was Whittle or Clayton, but I wasn't sure which. Whittle. Thank you, Colin. So that's three. Merrill, did you want to come in as well? I think you muted Merrill, but are you expressing an interest? Have we anybody else? We've got four members. Four.
Yeah.
Katrina.
Are they offering it, or can we just, as a parish council, it's all parish councillors, I assume, that will attend this, not just chairs or vice chairs. It's going to be offered to all parish councillors.
I think it's up to all parish councillors, isn't it, Angela? Yeah. I mean, whether you send
One or 10, yeah.
one councillor could attend and obviously take the minutes and then go back to the parish councils. A clerk could attend, whatever. Yes, Alan.
Perhaps it might not be a bad idea to set a date and email it out to all the parish council clerks and they can circulate it to their members. And then you might get a better idea of how many people are interested.
Well, we seem to have a bit of interest here as it stands, to be honest. So, you know, I think you're right. Okay with that, Angela, yeah?
Yeah, I think that's the intention, is just to use this forum for a broad scope of interest from yourselves and then to set a date and invite it out via yourselves. So I think it is just this point of putting it on the agenda tonight was just an early consideration from yourselves in the room.
Yeah, as I say, it says here in the minutes gauging interest, and I think we've seen sufficient people interested, certainly. I mean, it does no harm, does it? So you're happy to send that out to all the parish councils, as I say, with 5 here interested in the meeting, and as Councillor Platt quite rightly says, all parish councils aren't represented, and maybe something sent out to all of them. There's certainly enough interest here from attendees anyway. Thank you for that. Moving on. Question from members of the liaison and the public. We've no public questions, but does anybody have any further questions on anything? Moving on yet again. Items for future meetings. A schedule setting out deadlines for items to be requested on the agenda for the Chorley liaison dates and for future meetings is enclosed. If there are items you wish to be considered at the next meeting, please contact Coral in Democratic Services by Friday the 13th of October 2023. I'm quite happy if somebody has a particular issue they'd like to be raised, that Matthew can note it now. But as I say, if you could please get them to us by the 13th of October. Sometimes you go away, have a think, you think, oh, that would be interesting. You know, I mean, Rupert was one person that people wanted here. As I say, his predecessor, Keith, came on a number of occasions and was well received, and so, yeah. So it may be something you want to go away and think about. It may be something that, you know. Yes, Terry.
I think it's incumbent on us all as parish councillors and councillors to look at Chorley's recreational strategy for sport, recreation and well-being. And it would be good if we could get one of the officers to come and talk to us about it. The last time there was an audit, I think way back in 2014. So let's find out what we have in our parishes and more importantly, what we need in our parishes for sport and recreation.
Have you noted that, Matthew? Yeah, that's noted, and certainly that will go on as an agenda item. I won't say we'll get it on the next one, but we will certainly, if it's not the next one, we won't have to. I mean, we had to wait a couple of meetings for Rupert to find time in his diary to come, but he did come. We're now down to the last one. Any urgent business previously agreed with the chair? I haven't got any. So, don't think I haven't got on here the date of the next meeting. Have you anything, Kim? No. Thank you. Matthew tells me it's the 18th of October. And thank you, Matthew, for filling in. Unfortunately, Coral, that normally does the work, is unfortunately ill this week, and Matthew's came in as a replacement at the last minute. So you've fared very well, Matthew, and thank you. Thank you for coming in and filling in. It's not easy filling in for somebody when they're off sick at the last minute. Thank you.